welcome back. It's like eating grapes.
What are you munching on? What are you munching on over there?
Just some grapes in a little bunny bowl that is very cute. Thank you for asking. No one asked, literally, absolutely no one. But I'm all ready. I'm getting cozy. I'm getting comfy. I'm getting set up for our next match of the day, Virtus.pro and Gen.G. I'm personally very excited for this one because after this one, surely no one we will know what to expect from Gen.G after this match, I feel. Like, it just sets the tone for Gen.G fans or haters. But before...
Maybe not.
I think it does, actually.
As a potential Gen.G defender here, this is a very difficult team. A very difficult matchup. A VP kind of climbing yet again. It's not a bad loss, right? You would like to see them look more competitive, but we'll see.
We will see. Indeed, we really will see.
We'll see. We will. This is going to be a tough one. I don't know. I kind of feel like we already got what we needed to know out of Gen.G last week. It is week 1, but what we need to know this week is where the improvements compared to week 1. Where we moved as a team. We're looking for the Gen.G side of things compared to week 1, right?
Gen.G gets beat down by Vision, which is a mid-table team. And then if they also can't play up to their opponent in Virtus.pro, then they will literally just be at the bottom of the middle or at the bottom. Like, that's basically going to be my takeaway from this. Because sometimes teams like Vision can go under the radar. But Gen.G should be familiar with Virtus.pro. They should be familiar and well aware of what to ban here. The strategy heading into this one should be ironed out because you know what to expect from Virtus.pro.
It's just, can they execute? I mean, for VP, right? Like, if they execute at like a normal VP level, like I don't think there's like 2 teams I think really give them tough games, right? Like Gen.G could kind of play their best game, and I'm not sure like the roster talent wise, right, stacks up to VP, and I don't even think that's it's just kind of proven with how good VP has been.
VP is actually the team that I don't think we really got to see enough out of last week because they really just blew by good guys, A&M. Like, it wasn't really enough of a thing. So Virtus.pro, I think they've got more in the gas tank to show us. We will see if Gen.G can push them a little bit further. It really depends on whether you think Gen.G is, they should be on paper a lot better than good guys A&M, right? So this on paper should be a more difficult game for VP, but still a game that we expect VP to clean up.
Yeah, I think what's most exciting for VP is something that KSA also mentioned in the post-match interview after his game, right? That VP, they are such a high-caliber team. Last stage, they clearly struggled because of the Symmetra. It was pretty much just the meta that kind of broke their neck there. Now, with Symmetra kind of taken out of the mix for most teams anyway, this should be a much better stage for Virtus.pro.
Well, you heard KSA mention it earlier, right? He even kind of highlighted, like, when there was no sim, really, think back to stage 1, VP went like undefeated in EMEA. And if Vestola can play something like a D.Va or a Zarya, right? Now you have Kev in the mix, so Kev will actually be starting here today with JWoo. Like, it's maybe even a stronger version than the phase 1 stage 1 version of VP, so look out.
You literally have Kevster. I mean, let's be honest, this guy is going to be an unbelievable player for your team in so many regards. The Kevster JWoo duo is disgusting. You already had one of, if not maybe, definitely a top tier, top in the entire region, Flex DPS and JWoo, and now you just got former MVP candidate Kevster. It's like, okay, well, you've just stacked talent on top of talent, and then you've got Shockwave still there for the hit scan maps. You've got Ice and Vestola swapping positions on the tank based on what they need in terms of main tank or off tank hero pools. Fixer and Gala and staying in the back line. So VP, they should be an unbelievably strong contender. We even got in the interview, KSA was saying VP is the team that you got to look out for.
Yeah, they got a wealth of riches. We have expected them to be the third best team right behind Twisted Minds and Alcatia. Let's see if they can live up to the hype. Let's see if Gen.G can prove us wrong. We're about to find out as we're headed into map number 1.
And thanks, Zoe. When she says Gen.G, like, prove us wrong, I don't even, like, I'm not even, like, looking for them to win this match. Just looking for them to compete at a higher level than what we saw last week, right?
Be competitive.
The chat is not on the Gen.G bandwagon here. It's a 95 to 5% chat prediction there in favor of VP. I saw the guy pop up in the chat before who said he put all his points on Quick. You should just put all your points here on VP. Try and make a little bit of a run back up in terms of your channel points. Samoa. So this is the first time, Avril, in stage 3, we're gonna see this map in EMEA. Maybe even haven't had a chance to catch up on NA, but regardless, like we don't see this map quite often. So this will be a really interesting look here for VP.
Yeah, sure, and I believe it's Vistola starting, right? So we have Hazard being banned away, given that you have Tread on the other side. We're going to remove that from contention. This is going to push Tread more towards perhaps a Diva type of look. We know Tread is not going to be looking over towards a Winston. I hope he's not going to look towards a Malga. So there's no ball there either. Vistola's not going to play that either. So this genuinely will probably end up being a Diva mirror between the teams. No Wuyang says to me it's going to be Lucio Kiriko on the back line.
Yeah, with the Lucio Kiri potentially as a backline and Vistola in, like, we saw Vistola play a lot of the Zarya last week. We can obviously see him play Diva. They have Ice Gnome if they want to go over towards like more Hazard type of comp. So VP kind of has that flexibility now to do just about anything. And looking at that ban, maybe we do see the Zarya come through.
And before we get into game here, Matt, we do have one extra announcement to make. Of course, the unvault of former Overwatch League skins is available. There's plenty of ex-Overwatch League players we have in this series, particularly the VP side of things. And 2020 Pacific All-Stars Diva, All-Stars Rhine, Rock Climber Zarya, and I think maybe one of, if not the best, Widowmaker skin in the game. That one is quite damn good.
I mean, that skin is pretty awesome. I loved the 2020 All-Star skins. I think those are some of the best they have made. So really good to see some of these skins actually come back in, the opportunity to be able to get them. So September 23rd, that's like only 10 days. So log in the game, do your Junkrat, loot box, conquest to play a bunch of games, buy these skins. A mid-season patch probably coming anytime now. So that'll be pretty fun as well.
Yeah, these unvaults don't happen all the time, and you also don't know what you're going to get in the unvault as well. So these rotate around. So it might, if the skin you want is here unvaulted, this is the time. Otherwise, you don't really know when it's going to come through. These skins are pretty rare because you could only get them at least previous to now during the Overwatch League years. And well, enough of that talk, Matt. Let's head into map 1. Samoa Gen.G have a lot of work to do to prove their capability as a partner team here. Obviously, not a very good year for them so far. VP, they only struggled slightly in the last stage due to the meta shifting, and now I think they're a lot more meta-proof given they have Kevster on the team. And VP, even despite all the Symmetra shenanigans of last stage, Matt, they still ended up being top 3 in the region. So that says a lot about the strengths of VP, even when the meta doesn't go their way.
Totally. And I think for Gen.G, like we talked about, just trying to see them put together some better performances. We know that VP is up there in that top 3 upper echelon in the region. Gen.G has a lot of good players though, right? I know Tread had some really standout performances towards the end of stage 2. Exodial, we were kind of like hailing him as like one of the up-and-coming players. Yeah, in the EMEA. And then Backbone obviously has been a part of some great teams in the region, and not even the region, the world, right? So we expect them to produce better results.
Of course, this is not at least in my opinion, a fantastic hit scan meta. Although that being said, Lambda would say otherwise, Colts would say otherwise, and I think if you're Gen.G, you will say otherwise too. Exodial, he'll play towards his strength. I think that's what Gen.G need here. Remember as well that for Backbone, I don't believe he will roll out on Symmetra, but this is historically one of the best Symmetra players of all time, one of the best Mei players of all time. So Gen.G have that capability. As expected, Diva is going to be the choice for Tread, but actually Zarya on the opposite end. A hero that I forgot to talk about here is for people that remember Virtus.pro's game last week, they played a ton of Zarya for Vistola. This is going to be a great matchup for him into the Diva Tread.
Yeah, so playing the Zarya here with that Diva on the other side, I mean, that is going to be really difficult for Tread. We'll see how he's going to move
Sim as well.
Yeah, move him around the map with that Sim, right? You're going to be using these TPs, just trying to keep Vistola really away from Tread. You see Tread get right in the Vistola's face there for just a second, backs all the way up, but that's going to be JU finding a kill onto Backbone. That's a large source of the damage there that's now off the table here for Gen.G. Gonna make it very difficult. I mean, you see how charged up Vistola gets there, Avril. These bubbles going on to JWoo, and then Vistola turning it into offense.
And this is exactly what we see in Korea, right? You see this Reaper, Zarya combination. The speed boost is there from the Lucio. They don't always even play the Lucio, which is the really interesting part as well. They can sometimes go and just play the Wooyoung in the same spot, but here, the Lucio is going to do a lot of work for JWoo to get him into the right position. Backbone's immediately going to swap away and over on towards the main now. One of his other signature, in fact, I think definitely his best hero by far.
Oh,
Tread as well. Go to mash the Zarya.
Yeah, it's it is interesting you're matching this Zarya here, but I feel like the Reaper is just a huge win for VP. Obviously, just kind of like putting down damage on the front line, and then obviously turning that where you want to get rid of the Reaper, but you can't exactly shoot at these bubbles, right? So puts you in a really difficult situation. There goes Exodio, Backbone, and Tread, as this has been dominant here from VP.
And all before ultimates are available. Kevster was the only one that actually had ult there. Kevster now even nearly attempting to kiss the spawn door challenge there. He'll show a little bit of respect and restraint as he'll back on through 60% now claimed by VP as the first round of ultimates across the board are going to start finding their way through. Do note that though Tread and Backbone are going to be a little bit further behind, particularly Tread just hasn't had the opportunity to build up any ult charge. He's very far behind Vasola here. Exodia going to try and make something happen. Open some space, Deadeye for the point.
Oh, nice use of the Wraith form there by JWoo. Just completely dodges the Deadeye and keeps the point contested there for VP. It'll be a Death Blossom there inside of the sound barrier there from Crispy. But you can see now that the Kasune Rush comes down from Gala, everybody's health bars just disintegrating. That Reaper is so crazy inside of that Rush. That should be enough for VP to take this first round.
And Backbone's not really going to get too much of a chance to use his Blizzard as well. They're being spawn camped right now. Tread just has to jump towards the point. He's not going to make it there in time as the Coconuts fall. And 0% on board for Gen.G. Look, man, I respect the Symmetra out of the spawn for Backbone. I do truly think he is one of the better players in the world on that hero. However, this is a hero that demands that your team is drilled and extremely practiced as a team, not even individually, as a team to make the Symmetra work. This is why VP struggled last stage. They tried to put JWoo on towards the sim, didn't work out well for them. They even put Icenom, their tank player, the main tank player, on the sim to try and make it work. This is how difficult it is to make sim work for your team. So I respect that Backbone wants to get it done, but their team needs a lot more work together to be able to truly make the sim work. And right now, we're not seeing enough for the sim to be a true option for them, I think.
Yeah, I mean, not even a death from VP across the team in that first round. Just crazy that they're able to put together that type of performance. Gen.G, they will keep the Zarya in the mix. They'll actually end up, bringing back in the sim, and then they're going to be going with a Bastion. So Bastion, you can obviously just kind of like burn through those Zarya bubbles, and before she can even get going, right? You can actually just kind of take her down. So let's see if they can actually make use of this Bastion.
What you really need more than anything is you need some mobility in Exodio. He needs a little bit of aim, and he's got him to JWoo. Mine has been connected, and that grenade, by the way, is really good currently on current Bastion with the availability of the perks. And now the TP's going to start coming in towards play. Fix it down.
Yes, you can move that Bastion around here with the TP. Becomes very difficult to track down, as this is not a great spot, though, that Gen.G is in, right? You see some of those players were split. They actually end up kind of going back and regrouping, and that'll allow VP to take point first. But you see JWoo already taking a shot with that Bastion grenade, has to back up.
I think Kevster should have been a little bit more reasonable with his pulse bomb usage. There's a lot of opportunities exiting the TP and all that kind of play. And well, this is going to be the grab coming on through, just catch a reasonable amount of members. Note that Crispy didn't have sound barrier in time. He's going to use it too late. Only 3 members of his team caught.
And I mean, Vistola is so charged up that like the sound barrier is not even going to be able to keep Tread up. You're going to lose Crispy as well. Sky TP's out. He doesn't want another death on his record. So, man, that is a sound barrier that comes in a little bit too late, like you mentioned, Avril. And it only connects with 3, and it doesn't even really give you an opportunity to win the fight.
So many opportunities, I think, to be able to punish this Bastion pick. Artillery now available, which you would want to be able to combo with your grav. Tread still 22% away from using that one. Vastola under a little bit of pressure, but ultimately fine. He takes out Tread, no problems.
Yeah, and now without your Zarya, there's no way you're going to be able to like push in and really give a threat here to VP. As Jaewoo TP's right on top of Exodial. Is this is not the start to the series that Gen.G needed. Obviously, we were talking about wanting to see them be a little bit more competitive. At least here at the start, we haven't seen that.
We are starting to at least see some deaths come on through, but not for Kevson, not for Vastola. Those two players still flawless in the series and the map so far, and that particularly is a boon for Vastola, because when you die, you lose your charger. For a Zarya player, Vastola, he's just been able to keep that charge up the entire way through. Exodial blown up. He's gone.
Yeah, you lose Exodial or Tread before any of these fights. Crispy does hand Kemster a death though, so maybe this is a window of opportunity. Tread ends up using the grab, but it's a nice sound barrier there.
I don't even know where the grab went.
Fix, yeah, the grab did connect on a player back in the corner, but the sound barrier was there. They just kind of like left that player to his own, stuck in the corner, and pushed on through. But man, this is an ugly round one. Exodial will fall. No Suzu there to kind of keep him alive through the pulse bomb. And
final touch is coming on third.
Not even a touch there. Tread gets hit with a grab. That is going to be it. VP, they just steamroll through Gen.G here off the rip. I mean, that is a brutal map one for Gen.G. This is going to be the sad thing. I can see the vision for what Gen.G are trying to do here. They have one of the really talented sim players that we have in the world, but they don't have the practice as a team, not individually for Backbone, but as a team for this sim. Also bring up the fact that, yes, if you look at Vastola's stats, he went flawless. Kevso eventually died once, but Vastola completely flawless, 23-0. Round two, we see the Exodial on the Bastion. They wanted to try and make this Bastion Zarya type of composition work, and to their credit, many people may put the question marks out there. Why would you play Bastion? There is a perk on Bastion, minor perk, configuration reload. Every time you change forms between the wheels mode back into, normal recon mode, and I believe it, even when you ult as well, because that changes different mode, you refresh the cooldown on your grenade. So you can spam those grenades. It's very strong, but Bastion is also very vulnerable. You need very good team play to TP your Bastion around, protect your Bastion. And players like Kevsa, part of the reason why some of his initial pulse bombs, like maybe he should be a little bit more strained on that, is because you saw at the end what you can do. Easily stick the Bastion every time. Unless there's a Suzu there, the Bastion is gone. It's so easy to target the Bastion. And we also never got the combo. There's never saw the grab artillery combo. It might not be that good anyway, but it's one of the few ways you can actually use the artillery. Otherwise, it's, at least in my opinion, a pretty pointless ultimate in the game. It doesn't really give you anything. So the vision is there, but this team is really trying to play some comps and some styles that I just don't think they have had enough practice on to really be able to pull through in any successful fashion, particularly not against VP. No, very difficult to play some of these different type of compositions we see here towards the end. Tread not able to make it back towards the point, gets stuck in a grab. So VP take first map. And now when you think of Gen.G, it's like there's so many different things you would want to see banned after this first map. It's really difficult, right? Like, Backbone can play Reaper, but we didn't really kind of see him go into it. Yeah, do you ban like a Zarya, right? Something along those lines. It's a very difficult situation for Gen.G to be in, right? Especially, I don't really think they kind of learned anything there from that first map.
I think what they learn is that some of the stuff that they prepped in terms of the, I guess you could call it brawl styles, because you are playing Zarya for the most part, and you are playing sim TPs, and you are trying to make the Bastions work. But these are the type of comps that you just, as a new team, relatively new team, because this is a very refreshed roster, it's going to be too tough. I wonder if they can go back to more comforts. Tread back on D.Va, let's ban away the Zarya. Tread wanted to play D.Va, you could tell. Round one, he came out D.Va, was forced to swap because he saw the Zarya. To be fair, I think he needed to recognize the possibility the Zarya was going to be there, and just didn't see that in time, particularly when you look back at VP's last week game, right? They played a ton of Zarya. That needed to be in the back of your mind. Zarya ban would probably be very high up in the list. Beyond that, like, you know, I think the Backbone Reaper might need to come back too, because I think the J Reaper looked amazing. And if you want to play these kind of styles, I think they could have played the Reaper themselves. And I'm not too sure if the Mei was going to be really that effective into that comp. If you were playing up against Vistolo and D.Va, I recognize what the Mei can do there for you. I don't think the Sim is going to be good enough for them as a team, so maybe Backbone should be on the Reaper.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about like different maps and stuff, right? If Tread wants to play the D.Va, maybe you want to bring into more of like the Reaper. If you're Gen.G, like you can go on a map like Eigenwald, right? Where you can play like Reaper and D.Va. You can also kind of get rid of that Zarya. You may not even need to ban Zarya on that map, right? Like with so much high ground in mobility, you kind of have to cover. Gen.G, okay, so Iceno comes in for Vestola. That tells you it's probably more of a dive map, right?
It tells you, I mean, if it's a dive map, Vestola could just play D.Va or Hazard on that as well. But for Icenom, he's going to be coming in to, you can just see even in the portrait there, well known for the Hazard, but also for the Winston. I think some capabilities to maybe even bring out the ball there. So he's like the chase torch of the team, in this case for VP instead of Alcatia. So I think VP are definitely feeling good about the series right now, that they're going to extend their rosters a little bit here to give Icenom some time. But I do wonder what the map is going to be to all this. It's going to be King's Row, which actually, fun fact, is a great Zarya map. So the fact that you're subbing the Solar out now is kind of interesting, because this is where you would want him to play the Zarya.
Well, we don't know the bans, right? So the Zarya could be something that they actually targeted, right? And got rid of
subs happen
early on.
First.
Oh, actually, yeah.
The
Interesting.
sub happens first, and then they do the bans. So they sub Vasola out first before they know what the bans are. And I think with Vasola gone, obviously there's not going to be a Zarya ban, because you know it's going to be Ice instead of Vasola, so you don't need to use the Zarya ban now. Gen.G is going to offer an Ana ban, which I think Gala did play, so it is possible. It's within the realm of possibility. The other thing it targets here is the fact that if we are going to see the Winston come through from VP, targeting the Ana does make sense. This is one of the few maps I do think Ana has some good value on, given that it is harder to flank the Ana, it's harder to punish the Ana, given you know, the slightly less flanking angle. So this is Ana right now, in my opinion, is very punishable, so it is definitely a risk to play. I don't know if VP really wanted to play, but I think we saw him play at one time. The cast ban is going to come on through to target Exodio specifically, so Exodio will probably play Soch.
Yeah, we'll get a chance once we get the unpause in what Exodio will end up playing. But yeah, like
might be Hanzo too.
Yeah, we've seen like a
Hanzo's good on King's Row. He is.
That's true. Yeah, we've seen a little bit of an uptick in Hanzo, so that's a possibility. Freya always a potential option. I believe last week we even saw somebody pull out Ashe for a brief moment on King's Row. So a bunch of different hit scans that can make work. Where Ana is really good on this map, where the first ban comes through, kind of controlling that high ground, especially with like Gala on the defensive side of things. It'd be pretty devastating to constantly get hit with his bios.
I think a good comp for Gen.G here would probably be Tread Zarya into Backbone Reaper. We just talked about the Reaper, but more specifically now, because you are going into Ice and you know the possibility that Winston is going to be there, the Reaper would play super well into that. This is the fun part, Matt, is the bronzes and the top 500s. It's like the bell curve, where the bronze is like, just play Reaper into Winston, and the top 500 is like, just play Reaper into Winston, and everybody in the middle is like, no, you can't just play the Reaper into Winston. But in fact, the pros are playing a lot of Reaper into Winston. It's working at the moment, so that is a possibility. Would probably force Ice onto the Hazard. And then actually, I think the Sim is pretty good in the Hazard, but you would be running the Sim again. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, which I wasn't in love with Gen.G's version of the Sim comp. Like you mentioned, you have to be on the same page when you're kind of running that stuff. And at least like, but they were kind of mixing it in with the Bastion. It didn't really look great, but honestly, they got blown out on Samoa. So maybe you just kind of chalk it up to the mat and go again, right? As always an opportunity to adjust, get a little bit better here as we go back into it. So the pause does end. It will be VP on defense first. And hey, we've seen it a few times throughout the day here thus far. Roadhog coming out for Ice Snow.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I wonder what a good choice here for Tread could be. Even though there is a Roadhog on the map, I will say Exodia on the Sojourn is going to be critical. This is a great matchup for the Soj. Similar, as I mentioned, to playing against a Malga, you can farm a lot of rails off of the Hog. That is going to be critical. Exodia is going to be a player to watch out for on Gen.G for their success on this map and this matchup specifically. For Tread, D.Va could be a potential option. D.Va is pretty punishable by Hog. One of the easiest things to do against a D.Va in a Hog matchup is anytime the D.Va wants to fly away, you hook her out of the fly and she loses that. Now she's basically dead meat. So that could be a pretty tough matchup for the Tread in some certain situations.
So they will end up going with the Sim here. So it'll be Sim for both sides, as Jay will end up playing the Sim for VP. Interesting of note, they didn't really love Jwoo on the Sim. During stage 2, they actually played Ice Gnome on it a decent amount. And then with Gen.G banning the Ana, there's no threat of like a big bio coming in the anti-heal for Ice Gnome. So I can play a little bit more aggressive on that Roadhog. And I think you see right now the positioning for Gen.G, Avril. It's very difficult. They don't exactly want to send that D.Va into that back corner like how you traditionally would, because you don't want to run directly head on into that Roadhog.
Here we go. Oh, they wanted that. Part of the strategy here for Virtus.pro, put the TP somewhere and give Ice Gnome the opportunity, but that is faded. So has his life in this particular fight. Now tank down is a pretty big deal. Shred does lose mech, but you'd imagine he should be able to respawn quickly. Gen.G can't. They're not really able to do too much with the Ice Gnome.
No.
Ice Gnome's just gonna walk back.
And like, what do you exactly kind of do here, right? You can't exactly have some of these players for Gen.G. Nobody's going to be able to jump down onto the point, keep it contested, right? They don't have like a tracer first instance, right?
Here's a pick. Opportunity once again for Gen.G. No ultimates on play just yet, so this is just all neutral kills. But Ice Gnome trades it back. This is Gen.G needs to be able to hold on to these leads. At least they get their first tick.
Ooh, that's a railgun shot gone though from Exodia, right? He kind of almost predicts that Kepster's going to come out that doorway at the moment, so burns the railgun and loses the high ground. This is where it's really difficult to push in with the Roadhog. That is a nasty stick there from Kepster, just showing what he can bring to the VP roster, as that is yet another hold here for Virtus.pro.
It's another situation where Gen.G get the opening pick. Last time they got Ice Gnome down. That is a huge pick on the tank. This time they got Jwoo down. Backbone found that pick himself, but they're not able to capitalize and convert these 5v4s. That's a real problem, as Gen.G have lost half of their initial attacking time now.
Yeah, let's take a listen into Gen.G, see how things are going on their offensive side.
Pressure from top left. We need try me point, guys. I need help. Yeah. Pull down, help me. Try me on top. I'm back down. Carry. Shoot point. Trey, Trey, carry both behind. You're splitting really hard. Careful.
Trying to fight top.
I'm staggering with you, I guess.
Whoa.
No staggering.
What do we want?
Willow.
Show someone on right.
Do out.
Okay. Please, Wuyang only, I think. They should have
That's
Rise.
similar.
Now, well, Avril, they're able to get the first point, so they unlock the payload. Now they'll start to get things going here through the choke. They thought about, trying to stagger out FACEIT. They weren't able to do so, but Gen.G finally capitalized on some of their opening picks.
For what it's worth, I mean, they did, but at the same time, you saw the trades. Kevster and Gala both got one back each, so that could have gotten really, really tricky. Speaking of which, now Crispy is going to drop down his ult first, and VP are doing what they can here. They've got some pretty decent ults on their side. It doesn't look like Ice Gnome has got too much work done on the whole Hog. A stalled out type of fight has occurred.
The whole Hog, though, I thought was great, because like the sound barrier comes through from Crispy and it just knocks them all the way back through the choke. They're not able to push through with that sound barrier, and they chunk down some of the overhealth. So Ice Gnome's whole Hog does buy them a little bit of space, but you haven't seen great things out of the Hog just yet.
Well, we're waiting to see what Exodia can do this time around. Tread barely clinging on to his mech. Sooner rush first from Gala. Sky is 10% away, and that just calls for a retreat. Gen.G cannot contest this. They need an ult themselves. Tread might even just be in no man's land here. He is out of position compared to where the rest of his team is, but if he's not spotted here, this is opportunity. Well, he's revealed his position now, but opportunity for him to be able to take away some attention, allow his team to walk up.
It's going to be the Kitsune rush here. They're going to fight behind it, right? So Sky drops that now that they know VP does not have a response. It'll be Ice Gnome getting the benefits of the Wuyang ult and actually connects with Exodial.
He needed to be protected there. It's FACEIT that puts it on himself, runs down the start EPS of Gen.G, and that is a call for retreat. Crispy to fall down as the members are trying to get themselves out of the TP to lock Tread into place. This is going to be a dirty little stagger onto Tread if he's not too careful, but I think he's actually managed to squeeze his mech out of trouble and back into the spawn of his own team. The time, once again, Matt, is starting to come slim. Minute 30 now.
Yeah, it looks like Gen.G actually going to take the route of taking the high ground here, and they're going to drop that sim wall. They're going to try and focus down Ice Gnome as they finally do get him, as pulse bomb thrown in by Kev doesn't really connect with anything. This should be a significant amount of progress here for Gen.G, but Jaywu finds Exodial. That's a lot of damage down now.
They need Jaywu out. They need to clean this guy up. There's players still alive at VP that are being staggered, and they're focusing on the payload, which is one thing, but you can win the next fight and actually cap if you can really just get a couple of these extra members down, like FACEIT. Jaywu needs to be in that play as well. Final 60 seconds here, Matt.
But Jaywu's actually going to have this sim wall, right? So he's going to be able to kind of drop this down. You also have the whole hog available, so a lot of good stuff to work with here. If you are VP, that's going to be Crispy, ends up dropping that sound barrier. Here's the whole hog in response, just trying to knock players back, take down some of that overhealth. And you see Gen.G, Avril, they have to back up. Sky getting dangerously low, and it's a few pickoffs here that happen for VP. So the sound barrier yet again just kind of gets not fully negated by that whole hog, but players get knocked back, they get chunked down, and that allows Kevster and Gala to get aggressive right after.
I think that was the last fight, man. Unfortunately, now that you have to look at the time remaining, see how pushed up VP is. Gen.G all the way in spawn with no time remaining. They must immediately go for the touch, but Virtus.pro is going to force the fight immediately. A TP upstairs is good. They still have to touch this fight. Pulse bomb lurking.
Yeah, Pulse Bomb doesn't connect with anything there from Kevster, but it's going to be a Kitsune Rush layered over the point there for Virtus.pro. And Gen.G, as Backbone gets dangerously low. They need to keep that sim alive. It's a large source of damage here for Gen.G, and they end up losing two players, Backbone and Sky. Tread will get a remake opportunity, but won't be able to touch. And that is where the progress will end for Gen.G.
I think the second to last fight that we saw before that final engagement was the critical fight for Gen.G. If there was one for them to win, it needed to happen then, but they lose two almost immediately. First off was Exodio. That's your key player in this matchup. And you have a situation where Sky was on board for a fast Kitsune rush. Didn't quite get to pull that out in time. Would have been the opportunity for Gen.G to close out a nice 5v5, capture away the B point, push the payload a little bit further to give themselves a true win condition. Because now they face up against VP on the attacking end, only needing to get to the end of B, and that will be it. No C push required here for Virtus.pro at all. I gotta say though, Gen.G, this has been a more competitive map. It's looking quite worried for them on Samoa, but King's Row is starting to look a little bit better. However, not finishing the map is a major concern.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you would have loved for them to at least get that second checkpoint, right? But compared to what we saw in map 1, I'll take it for Gen.G, as Tread will try playing the hazard on defense. Obviously still some time for VP. They could end up playing this ball. They could end up, flexing to a whole lot of different options. So still some time for them to make some changes. Maybe you bring in the Hanzo here. That is a possibility where...
It'll be a scouting Hanzo minimum.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we're at least getting the Sonic Arrow. And then probably some, maybe even some wholesale changes after that.
I think what we're going to see here, given the symmetry on the defense, it's going to be some sort of sim setup inside Alderworth Hotel. One of the ways you can break that is by playing the Hanzo, dropping a Dragon Strike through and just clearing a bunch of map space. It's going to end up being Pharah here, which aside from the fact that Exodial's playing the Soj, Pharah can be pretty reasonable here in the matchup. There's not much that interacts with the Pharah. So, and the Pharah can basically get what is the Wu Yang Harmony Orb, if you can call it that. It's a free healing in the skies.
Yeah, we've it's actually Backbone falling right away. That's Ice Gnome getting in there on the hazard. We've seen players in EMEA that have gone to the Pharah, opt for like the perk that ends up giving the shielding instead of some health, right? So even more survivability for Pharah up in the sky with like some kind of abilities to regen shield. So Pharah, a little bit of a different space that she occupies than previous stages, but still can be good in niches. A niche just like this that allows VP to basically just walk in, take the point. Avril, they have 5 minutes plus to not even have to get the second checkpoint.
while we were talking about the fire, they just completely capped out the map, fully flawless. No, I don't think anybody on VP even died in that first fight. I do think the Exodial change-up towards Freya does make a lot of sense here. Good matchup into Jehu on the Pharah. Also, Ice is now, I mean, he's playing the Hazard here as well, so nothing to farm in terms of pushing damage to the Hog and getting rails. But for Gen.G, really have to put their foot down. 5 minutes is a lot of time to be able to whittle down. It needs to start now for them.
Look at how much space they've allowed Kevster to kind of occupy, right? Just kind of peppering down players in the backline. No real threat at the moment to take him out. Now he's got a pulse bomb. Like, would I be surprised if there's a world in which he kind of gets on a flank, gets a pulse bomb, and that kind of opens things up? I mean, an opportunity here for Kev to maybe blow the game open here for VP.
I do think Tread made the right choice, though. He's low at the moment. He needs a little bit of help from his team. He's not going to get it because Sky doesn't have an ult available. It is a one-for-one trade, but losing a tank is probably a little bit worse than losing a fire on the opposing end. VP are just, in general, more ahead in ultimates because they won that A point so cleanly. But VP are not cleaning up this fight very comfortably at the moment. Say that much.
I mean, it's fortunate for Gen.G. I mean, they cannot afford for players to die, right? These players would just get, like, staggered out. Some percentage already gotten here by VP, very close to kind of sealing the deal as Fixer just slides right into Sky, takes him out with that ultimate. That's going to be both supports gone here for Gen.G. They might have an attempt here towards the end. Crispy coming out with the sound barrier.
It's probably done.
Be huge.
He cannot get staggered. He cannot get staggered. Tread has to be the player that has to think about the touch here. VP are about to win this one. Crispy has a sound barrier available. The touch has been confirmed, and the green HP waves across the entire team, but not for Backbone. That's critical. Tread, low HP as well. What do Gen.G have left to play through? They need some picks, and they need it now.
Yeah, and the bolo shot doesn't get anything there. It'll be a downpour from Tread. Maybe they feel like that can kind of lock some of these players in place, but Kevster still just here into the backline, being such a nuisance for Exodial. Finally, Crispy gets there to get him some help, but Ice and Combe still lurking at this corner, waiting for Jehu to come back off a spawn. You see Kevster through the X-ray, going on a little bit of a flank here as they need to keep Tread alive. Tread taking lots of shots from the far up.
So low. And he's been punished. He's gone down. Tread for Fixer. That's better for VP, but only if VP can actually clean this up. They need Gala to get his ultimate now. He's the sole heal. That could be problematic with Zodiac down. Kevster's just putting so much pressure on this point. Ice going down is maybe the kill that Gen.G needed. Now Gen.G can breathe a small sigh of relief. That is a huge return kill in favor of their own team.
It was a massive kill there, getting rid of Ice Gnome, right? You had already lost your tank. You needed to get rid of the opponents, and then also Gala was very close to a Kitsune rush. Ice Gnome lives a little bit longer. You maybe see that combination, you know, with the Kitsune rush being able to heal that hazard up, and we could be on to potentially the final game in the set already as Kitsune rush will get layered over the point. Sky will drop his as well, so it'll be a match in response here from Gen.G, but you end up losing Sky.
Crispy's dead!
Oh,
he's gone, backline is gone, Gen.G have fallen over, Matt. This is done for. 2-0 VP. I am not seeing Gen.G surviving this one. It's just Backbone, and the cap's gonna come through.
Yeah, it's both supports falling there basically at the same time for Gen.G. Crispy never able to get that sound barrier. And honestly, Avril, it was just they made it very difficult for them to keep themselves in the game for Gen.G, giving up that first point with so much time to a team like Virtus.pro. You're not going to be able to exist for that long. And I mentioned constantly Kevster just being a nuisance behind enemy lines, 17-0 on the Tracer throughout this map. You know, not going to be able to deal with a team like VP when you're allowing a Tracer to just do that in your backline.
Yeah, I mean, Kevster has been lights out. No surprises there. The star pickup for this team, I mean, with all due respect to the Ultimates, once they fell over as a squad, you start to look at where you can make upgrades, and it is the easiest pickup of your entire team's career journey as a team to just say, Kevster, #1 draft pick, get him now. And this is what he's able to do for the team. Virtus.pro, he'll push a little bit here, but as I sort of mentioned here, Matt, I don't think there was enough distance for Gen.G. They needed to be able to push towards C just to extend the time and the opportunity a little bit better. They just didn't give themselves that sort of space. And beyond that, look how fast they capped A at that time. 5 minutes and 30 just to get to the end of B. It's just too much time.
Yeah, and it's tough to see like where Gen.G would get the advantage here. at the moment. You know, FACEIT on the Wuyong with some really nice clips. You see there the whole getting gripped into the Roadhog, and then the kill onto Exodial. He kind of looked like do you have to ban a Tracer? I mean, you have so many issues here for Gen.G, right, that you kind of have to answer, but like, you can't allow Kevster to just kind of go uncontested in the backline to go 17-0. I mean, it's just not going to produce a winning result. So brutal Kings Row there for Gen.G. They do have another map, another opportunity. So maybe they can kind of take us to somewhere where the game changes a little bit more.
I've got a stat line here for you.
Yeah.
Kevster, as we know, 17-0 at the end of Kings Row, didn't die a single time. Kevster map 1 Samoa 18-1. He's got a combined 35-1 across 2 maps right now. So we saw what Checkmate was doing. Unfortunately, that Hollywood definitely added a lot more deaths to his tally than he probably would have wanted to keep that stat line looking as crisp and clean as possible. But for Kevster, this is just a walk in the park for him right now. This is looking incredibly good.
But if you can't match the Tracer play, right, or have no backbone, at least kind of like keep tabs on him, like Exodial is under so much pressure, right? Like everybody else could be doing amazing and you're probably not going to win. Just you're going to crumble under the pressure and the flanking of Kevster and the Tracer. So that is most certainly something they need to sort out going into the next potentially final map in this set. And with Hybrid out of the pool, right, they got to push Flashpoint or Escort to go to. What are you thinking if you're Gen.G?
I'm thinking we need a lot more weeks of preparation to go up against a team like VP. If you really wanted to get rid of the Tracer, I think going over towards one of the Flash, we are going to Esperanza, but just to play out the conversation, maybe target Kevster, get rid of Tracer, go to Flashpoint. Either Atlas or Servasa could have been a conversation. I don't believe we had a substitution, so when I keep our current players in, Ice is going to stay in for Esperanza. I assume that he's just going to continue playing the Hazard. A Hazard ban actually would be pretty nice to see coming through from Gen.G at this point, just to put Ice onto something else that you can... I'm not saying Hazard is a problem, but like, just shift things away and put him onto something a bit more punishable. And I think the Winston would be more punishable. They can force him onto that. Even a Ball is more punishable. A Tracer ban here wouldn't be terrible either.
Yeah.
But Ice is actually going to get subbed out, so it's going to be Vistola. I think the Zarya ban should actually be a conversation now that he's back in.
I think the Zarya ban is obviously up there. I don't think they have an answer. Like, you can in theory answer like their, tread Zarya versus Vistola. It does not seem like there's any Tracer response. Backbone can play Tracer historically. Like, you wouldn't kind of consider him a Tracer player, more of like that Reaper, Mei, Sim.
Yeah, he's a
Gen.G,
specialist player.
Yeah, specialist type of roles where if you're going to allow somebody to go 38-1 on Tracer, it almost doesn't even matter what the front line looks like. He's just picking you apart.
I don't even think Kings Row is like an absolutely amazing Tracer map either.
It's not.
Particularly the deeper you go. That's the other problem. We never got to see C point. C point is where Tracer's value starts to drop quite dramatically. So obviously still a very good hero just overall, but you start to just lose a bunch of flanking positions. Anyway, Esperanza, I think Tracer and Zarya are pretty high priority bans because, as proven, you cannot really deal with the Tracer in this matchup.
Right.
But then you have to be comfortable playing Zarya Mirror because I think whoever goes Diva is going to get counterpicked by the Zarya here.
I would rather get rid of the Tracer and match like Reaper head to head with the Zarya, or play like Mei and Zarya than just kind of try and play like a Diva Tracer head to head against VP. I think that's probably a bad scenario for Gen.G to put themselves in, especially as we move over towards push, right? Like, this could snowball and get out of control really early, especially you win that first fight. If you're VP, series could be over real quick.
I think, as I predicted today, Matt, at the start of the show, I expected this today to unfortunately be a 15-0 Overwatch day, 3 zeros across the board, and it's looking an EMEA absolutely going to be the result. NA, I think the results may end up looking similar. This is just going to be one of those days where a few unfortunate mismatches here in terms of teams, like KSA said, that are in the top 3 and teams that are out of the top 3. And respect to Vision Esports as well, who I think are a great team, but they did not look competitive in their game versus OWCS, not enough in that 0-3. I think, well, they got a couple things done, but not enough. Alari, Matt, here's what I'll say about Alari.
It's a protect from Gen.G. Like
protecting what, unfortunately, is the question, because I don't see
Lucio. Are they protecting Kiri? Are they protecting the Wu Young? Then VP just gets rid of the Freya. I mean, this is great for VP, right? I don't think there's any worry
I don't respect this ban at all. The Solari ban to me is completely it doesn't make a lot of sense. What is really interesting about this is I've just checked the history, Matt. Gen.G's last week game versus Vision, the 3 bans were as follows: map 1 through to 3, Wu Young, Ana, Alari. Guess what the 3 bans are for Gen.G today? Exactly the same. Wu Young, Ana, Alari. And the last map, Esperanza, was his last map of last week's Vision game as well. They like to ban Alari on this map specifically.
They're protecting their support line. There is something with their support line that they feel like it's they have to have all of those heroes available, right? You're really looking at like Lucio, Kiri the most. They did play some Wu Young in the last map, but yeah, when Mitch and I talked about it last week, it's like there's no reason to play Alari here. It is clearly some type of protect for the support line.
The problem I have with there is I don't disagree that it's just protect. Possibly, maybe they do think Alari's broken on this map. The problem is I don't see what is so valuable for their support line that they feel that they absolutely have to protect it over something that would be a lot more useful, targeting a problem on the other side. This team, Gen.G, is not in a position where they are in a winning spot where they need to feel defensive about their bans, like, hey, we have something that we really need to play that we need to protect badly. Instead, they're in the opposite position within the losing spot because they're losing to specific issues that VP are presenting to them that you can solve with the ban that they are not solving with the ban, and that's where I think they're going wrong with their bans.
If you're so worried about the support line that you have to use every ban on every one of your matches to essentially protect supports, it's a really difficult spot to be in as a team. I don't know how you kind of make that work. I also think it's got to be probably frustrating for some of the other teammates, right? Who I'm sure Exodial would love them to get rid of the Tracer on the other side, right? But it's like, oh well, we need Crispy and Sky to play Lucio Kiri, right?
I think when you really look at the math of it in terms of what gives you a better win percentage, in my opinion, a target ban on a VP play would up your win percentage a lot more than protecting whatever it is that Crispy and Sky need to hold on to here. So that's my opinion.
No, I think that's really fair, because look, I mean, you still have the Zarya in play, you still have the Tracer in play. This doesn't throw anything off that VP was going to do. If anything, it just takes the long range hit scan out of Exodial's hands and now forces him to play on the ground against Tracer Reaper.
This is very close to what Gen.G were playing in the opening of Samoa. If you remember correctly, it was the backbone sim they began on. VP also kind of playing the same comp. They're playing what I think is the Korean Zarya Reaper comp right now. This comp on VP is taking over OWCS Korea. I think VP will be able to take this one home if they can just navigate this one cleanly. The Gen.G, they really want to try and make the sim work.
Yeah, I mean, Shred dangerously low. They do actually get Jwoo though, which is quite massive, and Backbone lives long enough in the fight to get charged up there on the sim, so he will end up finding 2. So Gen.G do get a fight win here at the start. They will get control of the bot, and they will gain a little bit of progress with it. Not a significant amount, but still just enough.
So this is what we need to see now. The snowball coming on through. Sky, 85%, really far ahead of Gala. That's important to note. For Gen.G, possible win condition. And they punish a player like Jwoo again. That was the first pick that Gen.G was able to get before, and they protected Shred for it. They got a TP Exodial in. No pick on Gala. That was the target.
Yeah, I mean, they get a headshot on the Gala. They just don't get around the corner, try and finish it off, as this will be a Sky ending up using the Kitsune Rush, and they just barrel down Vestola. That's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Vestola, to be honest with you, was a little out of position, Matt. You have to look at where Vestola was standing, extremely far away from where the rest of his team was, and massive opportunity when Gen.G just said, we're going to run him down. I don't even think they needed the Kitsune Rush. We're going to pull on through. More support ults to come on. And Exodial onto Kevsa this time and fix his bubble. I don't know where that one went, but did not result in anything for Virtus.pro.
Yeah, they end up investing the sound barrier here for Gen.G, so that actually ends up getting them the checkpoint. So it's now they're in a position where they don't have that kind of like big support ult, whether it's like a grab or a Death Blossom coming on through, or trying like turning fight that is just on a losing footing. But VP will get control of the bot now, probably move it back towards at least mid-map.
It's a big hit though. Oof, you actually saw that giant orb pop, and it pops backbone. Maybe right in that back as well. Fixer from downtown is going to give the opening pick over to VP, and now swapping hands on the actual payload itself. 60 meters, it's not bad. They at least got the checkpoint, Matt. Sky's a little low here.
I mean, you get checkpoint, which is obviously beneficial. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Tread gets hit with a pulse bomb. Power blocks, doesn't kill him, but Sky doesn't have the ability to get away from them by TP down,
Suzu.
so you end up losing the Kiri. Yeah, so that allows VP to kind of gain some progress with the bot. Now a little bit deeper into Gen.G territory, getting closer to that checkpoint. And they're going to have this grab like Death Blossom. If they decide to Kitsune rush, they can just throw the grab inside of it.
Well, TP has been expended here. Kitsune rush downtown. Grab is still
Tread
available. Death Blossom is still available.
Disintegrated.
The rest of them are getting disintegrated now by Vasola as well. He just grabs them all up. And VP get to hold on to the Death Blossom for a future fight. Vasola just got 4 there.
Yeah, Vasola with a nice grab. It's a TP from Backbone that kind of gets everybody out, but still, Vasola extremely charged up. No kind of dealing with his Zarya when that is the case. And I'm really worried now with Gen.G Avril, because like you have this sound barrier coming out, right? Fixa ends up using the ultimate here onto Jwoo, just trying to clear space, and this is going to allow them to take the lead. Now you've lost Sky. Do you invest like a sound barrier here with a player down? I mean, this would be a brutal scenario to have to do that here if you're Gen.G, and they do. The sound barrier also doesn't even connect with Backbone, so that is, I mean, they are fortunate to be able to win this, though.
They won that one 4v5. I mean, Sky, credit to him. He actually dropped the Suzu perfectly to alleviate the bubble that was popping on Jwoo's body. But Exodio dies at the end here to Vasola.
Yeah, Vasola's still alive here, and I was going to say, you did end up having Gala with him. I was like, it's not entirely done just yet. Now, with Kevster kind of backing up, it is. But Avril, they're going to be able to control high ground here with ease.
92, 60 meters. Close game so far. Certainly not one that I'm going to call early. Gen.G have at least shown their capability. This has been the best map so far, I gotta say. But Kevster, he's looking for something on that backline, threatening the pulse bomb, saying, I am here, you do have to worry about me.
High ground control here for Gen.G. It's, they can't fix it. They've been doing a better job of tracking him down. Yeah, they end up getting Jwoo as well. So, okay, so a few kills here for Gen.G. They should be able to get significant barrier progress, right? So you see they're behind by about 30 meters. So this should get them somewhat close to matching, if not taking the lead. So we'll see if they can kind of push up, take some of this space and deny it. But actually, look at this. They back out to the high ground as soon as Kevster gets to the bot, so they don't get anything.
Well, actually, I think the back of the high ground is a good call here, because now you get to abuse the high ground differential on Esperanza in the mid, which is very, very strong. And VP, you can tell they don't even want to push into it. Gen.G eventually have to walk forward because they need to equalize in terms of meterage, and they're going to drop the ultimate. Tread's gone deep already, but the wall is protecting. Gala is just waiting moments away from dropping Kitsune Rush to counter in.
Yeah, I was going to say, they back up Avril and they take high ground. That's great, but VP can just kind of sit there at the choke. There's no real reason for them to kind of push on in. Vasola getting up to 100 charge, taking damage in every direction. Somehow Backbone able to just kind of juke around through the TPs and able to live. So
impressive.
Takes a while, but Gen.G ends up winning that fight. And I think we'll see if Kevster is able to get a touch here. Maybe kind of deny them from taking the lead, which
they need the
does
tank,
get a brief touch.
Okay, or it can just be a bubble. He's tanked up now. He gets to be the tank. Kevster's going to roll it in, but he goes down. The bubble does not last long enough. They're going to be down of their tracer play. But still threatening the grab is big.
Yeah, I mean, you don't give up the lead here, and Vasola still holds on to the grab. You can just kind of like play this poke game. Jwoo can kind of control it over by the bot, and that's actually going to be the grab there that connects with 2. You end up losing Jwoo, but he ends up taking out Tread, and without Tread and Exodial, now you can get that bot back in towards Gen.G territory. And with below 3 minutes, I think that is a trade in the way you play that for VP. You take every single day. Not only does Gen.G not take the lead, now you're going to get the bot to at least mid-map.
I gotta tell you, that was pretty masterful, because what we did not see is, obviously Vestola's not gonna get there in time for the touch. You say Kev's a touch, but he's only a trace of what he got was the Wheon bubble to tank him up, but he still died. Then they won the fight anyway. 5 players up for 5-man ultimate from Crispy, and Vasola just has know-how. This is the fight that Gen.G are gonna get their flip. You better believe they're gonna get that 90 meters this time around.
Let's see. I mean, you have everybody coming off a spawn here for Virtus.pro, and you also still have Kevster still alive. I think they're trying to track Kevster. You see, like, Sky looking around, seeing if he's going to come from the staircase to his left. Yeah, so
the respawns are too close, actually. I think VP will be able to get in time.
Yeah, it looks like VP actually going to make it. The TP there from Backbone looked like he was going to try and get people out, but they actually go right back in.
Big kill on JWoo.
So that's a Kasune rush used here by Gala, so it's just trying to keep everybody up here for VP. They're having a difficult job doing that, though, and this should be Gen.G taking the lead, and they will go deeper into Virtus.pro territory. So this starting to look good for Gen.G. They'll have a Deadeye here at the end.
The big moments for Gen.G so far, when Backbone has Photon Barrier, that's a huge winning moment for Gen.G. 2 of the large fights that Gen.G have won in recent history on this map so far has been through that with Exodial down mid Deadeye. That is critical. You've lost a lot of damage here. Gen.G, what else can they do with this fight? Doesn't look like a lot.
No, and I mean, he was not even able, Exodial, like get a shot off there as Kev just kills him instantly, it feels like. So the bot will go back towards mid-map. This is going to be VP having to run it down. Not out of this just yet, considering how good this team is. And with the ultimates going to be coming up at their disposal, right? Nothing to worry about, like a sound barrier coming online.
30 meters is just not enough of a lead. Gen.G,
no.
The 30 meters is not enough to be able to comfortably win. Not with Backbone and Sky down this early. This is a sacked fight. Gen.G need to reset once more. Wait for the OT. Save your ultimates. Do not burn ultimates too early here on push. The win condition now needs to be for Gen.G to have overwhelming economy once we actually hit the OT. But where's the OT going to take place? I think VP are going to start making meters happen there as we move into OT.
I was going to say, it's going to be tough, Avril, right? Because Vasola is going to end up having this grab. You could, like, use it early here. Crispy doesn't have anything to deal with it.
Excello! Ooh, that is a critical kill. VP losing a bunch of the healing now, even with Vasola on grab. I don't know if he's going to use it. I don't know if it's going to be enough. He doesn't catch at all. It will eventually suck in the tank. With Tread in the middle there, he's going to survive. It's Vasola for Backbone. That's a positive trade for Gen.G. And with that, Halo moves away. I think Gen.G have got this.
Yeah, somebody going to be able to even get a touch here. It's going to be Kevster who jumps out, gets a touch. You sub Gala here as well with JWoo, so you will be able to kind of get this into OT. So JWoo just doing a nice job, just kind of contesting from that window. It's going to be the sound barrier here from Crispy, but who is it for?
Clean up. Gen.G need a kill. They're not getting any cleanup here. Vastola's back on a Malva to get back quickly, but VP have now regrouped this 5. Gen.G, they may have slipped this one through the fingers. If Crispy goes down, it's a 5v4. Now Gala has an ult.
And that was a Kitsune rush there from the high ground there that Sky drops, and they don't get anything for it. It's going to be Gala's Kitsune rush coming in a little bit later. They do end up dealing with Vastola, but JWoo on the cart gets one. Nobody there to get a touch, though, and that will be Gen.G taking Esperanza at the very end. That one came down to the wire, Avril, but Gen.G, that's the best map they have played all stage, without question.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically, I'm looking at Gen.G as a triathlon runner, and right at the end, they're crawling across that finish line, barely making it there to finally seal the deal and get themselves their opening and first map win of OWCS in Stage 3. The questions were asked, what can Gen.G truly do? Well, they've got their map now. It is no longer 3 Overwatch day. 15-0, not going to be the case. Maybe it'll be a 15-1 instead, but Gen.G, I gotta say, man, that was impressive. They actually managed to hold a little bit of a lead. They do lose a lead on Esperanza, but a couple of decent flips, pushing to 120 and winning when they have the Photon Barrier. And they won once again at the end when they had the Photon Barrier, but not without slip-ups. That was a very, very wild, dirty, and not a particularly clean way for Gen.G to finish off with a win, but a W is a W, Matt.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference maker there for Gen.G, I thought Backbone's play was really nice on the sim, just pumping out tons of damage for this team. Exodial under constant pressure, but it also felt like he got the kills kind of like sporadically, but the ones that he got were like very important. Like I can think back to the one kill that he got onto FACEIT on the wing, like right at the start of a fight, which ended up getting them taking the lead. So some highly impactful kills from Exodial, and then Backbone stepping up lead to a Gen.G map win.
I'm impressed. I mean, this is what Gen.G needed. I don't know if this is going to be enough for them to win the series, because based on what we saw in the other two maps, at least Kings Row... actually, you know what, Matt? It is getting more competitive. The first opening map on Samoa, not very competitive. Kings Row, it was starting to get there, and now Gen.G have actually won a map on Esperanza. So actually, momentum is starting to work in their favor. But at the same time, we know VP. They got levels here. They got more to unlock. They got more that they can play through. And what I can say is, I mean... this is you can start feeling a little bit more hopeful for Gen.G, which is not something we could really talk about, that anyone could talk about for a very long time.
That's true. And I wonder, now that it's VP's map selection, right? What do they want to do? I mean, you could take it to do like Atlas, right? Maybe bring back an Ice Gnome and try and play some stuff. I think VP also has a sim ban, if I'm not mistaken, still available. So still a lot of nice things for VP to work with. Series, I know, not going to swing all the way for Gen.G just yet, but this is a good start.
Yeah, that was good. That was a genuinely good map, despite
so it will be Atlas.
there.
That's a fast pick.
Atlas, and what will we see here? This is where, I mean, I'm curious now. Gen.G put a lot of effort in protecting that backline. I think you have first ban as VP, go straight for that backline. See what the real reason is, why they're trying so hard to protect it. Ban Lucio first. That's my thing. I think you go straight for the Lucio.
Yeah, do you get rid of the Lucio or the Kiri, right? Do you get rid of the Sim? I think that would be quite interesting. Okay, so Ice Gnome does come back in, and they take us to Atlas. So this is something that we were literally just talking about. The bans, though, you want to see them attack that support line. It would be interesting.
Gen.G, keep protecting it. You better start attacking. There's a reason they're protecting. Let's find out.
Right, like what does Crispy play that's like outside of the Lucio, right? I think they have another another support on this roster, so maybe they would be like some
do
subs,
Wuyong Kiriko.
but...
The answer is Wuyong Kiriko. If you ban the Lucio, you should play Wuyong Kiriko. If you ban the Kiriko, Wuyong plus, could you do Wuyong Lucio? It is possible you can play that. Otherwise, I've seen teams go Brig, not my favorite. I don't think it's amazing at the moment, and not good on Atlas, unfortunately. That would have been a potential other choice. So probably...
You've seen BAP on this map when some teams have kind of played like some hit scan up towards the high ground.
Could be the choice if Kiriko's gone. Basically, whatever's gone, you just shove the Wuyong in there, which is why I'm surprised, because it's a very easy fix. Whatever is tied on the backline for Gen.G, it's just like, oh, just play the Wuyong in that spot. You're fine.
But maybe they don't have somebody to do it.
Doesn't make sense at all.
Maybe neither of them, whether it be Sky or Crispy, can do it. Yeah, I mean...
Well, guess what, Matt? There's 4 support players in Gen.G. Surely among 4 support players, somebody plays Wuyong, you would imagine. If you only deal with 4 support players.
That is true. We probably would have also gotten notice that one of them were coming in, right? So it seems like they kind of want to roll with this.
Every other team's like, man, well, maybe we need some more... There it is, there's a Lucio ban. Maybe we need some more, round out of the hero pool on the tank side. Maybe we need another flex DPS. No, let's do 4 supports as Gen.G's answer to the current meta. But we finally do get to see the Tracer ban, which I think Gen.G, long overdue. They needed to target Kevster with this ban like multiple maps ago. Lucio is going to be the straightaway ban from VP, and I agree. I think let's find out what Gen.G is hiding behind the scenes. Well, let's reveal and open the curtain behind Gen.G's backline a little bit here.
Yeah, because Gen.G has just been really protecting supports the entire time. You can see the bans there coming out of Gen.G. The Wuyong, the Ana, the Yalari. They have been clearly trying to protect the Lucio Kiri under any cost. Now that the Lucio is gone, right? Like, what does this team look like? If I'm Gen.G, I'm almost scared. Like, if it looks like a mess, teams are going to do this every week from now on, right?
It's a pretty major to be this protective of your backline when you have 4 supports. Are
we gonna get a Juno Moira?
So
is that their fallback?
No way. No, this is not real. That's not real. No. They gotta again. What they should play is Wuyong Kiriko, There's a pause. There's just no way. Is this the real reason? Is that Crispy can't play Wu Yang or Sky can't play Wu Yang, and so they're forced to play Juno, which is not in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, that obviously we have a pause, but at least right before the spawn doors open, that looked like it potentially would be the case. So we'll get a sense where Juno, to me, doesn't really fit in at all.
He's
so they will
actually is Juno.
They will be playing the Juno. So, yeah, this is something that directly tells you, right, that, like, okay, if Lucio isn't in the mix, they don't have a lot of great responses.
Let's talk about the Doom here. Obviously, I don't love it, but what I can say to Icenom's favor is at least he's playing it into the sim. So Doom, known as a sim counter as well, so they predicted the backbone is going to start on the sim. Icenom's going to roll in Doom specifically for that matchup. The Ana is interesting. Again, I don't think Ana is great on this map because Tracer's banned. I think Ana is protected a lot better. There's a lot less flanking power. Gen.G don't play Tracer or Gen.G because they can't.
Well, yeah,
I was going to make this Ana work.
With the Ana, you have 3 really sick nano targets, right? From the Doom to the Gen.G to the Reaper, right? Any of them produces a good result with the nano as Tread goes up here towards the high ground. Here's the issue with Gala, though, on the Ana. Nothing he really do to protect himself. Actually fires a shot there in the Tread, ends up waking him up, so it doesn't really even give himself a chance to live. So now see everybody else will start falling at the hands of Gen.G, where I know Gala felt like he kind of accomplished the mission there, putting Tread to sleep, and then woke him up and let him just come in, finish off the kill.
I'm not even lying. I think there's a real case to be said that a Sombra swap may be necessary for VP. You can punish both the Juno and I believe the D.Va too. Some clutch hack timings. That would be some decent Sombra gameplay, and that's what I'm really suggesting for VP. The Doom is at least still in there. Again, not a great hero. Despite the good match of the sim, we need to see what Icenom can really bring to the table here.
Yeah, well, they decided to make a change, and it's actually dropping the Reaper here for sim of their own. So Jay will end up bringing the sim into play. That'll be the Wu Young ult here, just dropped onto Kev, and you see everybody just running for the hills there for Gen.G, and that's actually inside of the Kitsune Rush. So Kitsune Rush doesn't really get anything here for Gen.G. This is going to be an orbital ray, Avril, and they are down a few players already.
Nano onto Icenom. This is opportunity. He got backbone already. That was his key target. He has managed his mission well. But the other support, Sky, taken away. Tread now demech this all. Backbone has his own photon barrier, but with his team falling apart, gonna save that one for the next fight. 90+%, 93. That is absolutely within last fight territory. Tread is gonna move away from the D.Va. I think part of the reason, Matt, why Jay would move to the sim, good matchup into the D.Va, puts a lot of pressure to Tread, but sim also good matchup into Hazard.
Yeah, no, I mean, the orbital ray at the end, maybe you could have kind of kept it there for Crispy. You would have had an opportunity to kind of like move in behind it here, but the idea is probably the sim photon barrier. We'll see if they actually end up deciding to use Exodial's Deadeye. Maybe there's like an opportunity to get the Deadeye with the TP around, but you lose Sky. You may end up just deciding to hold on to it as Exodial gets chased down there by Gala and Co, and that will be VP taking our first point.
Yep, massive, especially considering that backbone. He had that ultimate, he used it. The Virtus.pro does not care. Icenom is playing a hero now on the Doom that really just doesn't care about photon barrier at all. He's going to punch his way through every single shield. Not a good situation for backbone. Exodial's going to move over towards a Venture, giving himself something to do in terms of maybe accessing Gala, definitely putting the pressure onto Jaywu.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different look. We don't really see Exodial play something like a Venture often, as Trade goes through the TP, just gets punched right out of the way. Exodial, yeah, misses that a drill dive into Kevser and ends up falling.
It's tough as well because you can get punched out of that burrow. If Icenom is on top of you, Tread, speaking of being on top of, that's Icenom's next target, and he is down. Gala taking a bit of damage here. Backbone gets a little bit of revenge. Virtus.pro still have player advantage barely. Gen.G Esports looking to be backing out, at least resetting their members, waiting for Tread.
Backbone does take a ton of damage there as Icenom just gets right up in the mix, and now the Doom is going to get the benefits of the Wu Young ult. This looks like actually it's a Suzu that comes in, saves some of the players there on Gen.G.
Gala doesn't have it though. He's just too far behind. Jaywu unable to be saved there. Icenom 1 HP. Media strikes away to safety. This is looking like a pretty winnable fight for Gen.G. They're dropping down everything. Orbital Ray could be really nice here. Kevsa receives Nano, but he doesn't have a blade, man. He doesn't have enough to use. He's alive, but can he get kills? Virtus.pro look like they're turning this one around. Ice has been doing the job. He's got 2.
I mean, Ice Gnome, Kevster, but also Gala being able to heal these two from a distance. He also gets to sleep on a player directly in front of him. Does Gala. And now a little bit of a stagger here on Exodial. He just gets slammed on top of. So man, Gen.G, that was one they needed to have.
And people will be questioning after this, maybe Doom is good. Let me tell you something about this. The reason why Ice is working on Doom is because there's nothing countering on the other side. You're not going to see an Arn out of Gen.G. There's no Sombra out of Gen.G. There's nothing in terms of a Doom punish or counter at all. So Ice is getting away with murder.
Yeah, it'll be sim walls from both sides here, but like you mentioned, the Doom can just go right through it, start swinging his fist, and then also the blade, it just kind of cuts through, where this is going to be another VP point win. So they will quickly go up 2-0 here, potentially looking to put away the series.
And I was saying, Virtus.pro might want to look towards the Sombra. I'm going to change that to Gen.G now. They might be with the team that needs to look towards the Sombra, because there is nothing controlling Ice at all. Despite Doom not being in a good place in the meta, if the opposing team does nothing to stop your Doom play, and you can mechanically perform, and you have a good matchup, particularly into both, I think, the Venture and also Symmetra, then Doom's going to work for you, and Ice is going to make that work, and VP's about to clean up 3-0 on this Atlas map if Gen.G cannot respond.
Now VP's going to have both support ults here to kick things off. It'll be a tectonic shock here from Exodial, but hey, everybody's just so spread out. Crispy falls yet again. The Juno has definitely not seemed to have paid off for Gen.G, but yeah, Gala just kind of like dancing around, right? Just avoiding like all of this damage players just kind of look for him. He finally does fall, but this actually might be a Gen.G point take, as hold on though. FACEIT ends up deciding to use his ult here towards the end of this fight onto Ice Gnome, as you are still keeping this Doom alive. I mean, the amount of damage he's putting down, and also the survivability is insane right now.
And he's got Sky. Tectonic shot from Exodial. Is it going to be enough here? He needs to find some backline targets. Gala and Fixer are back in the fight, and the point after what seems like the longest opening fight to a point that we've seen so far. It will go Gen.G's way with Isom leaving, but he didn't go down. Isom did not go down the entire fight. Pretty masterful stuff.
The fact that he lived that long is crazy to me. We're now Kitsune Rush plus Orbital Ray. This is a fight that is very easy for Gen.G to come out on top of. So they end up capping. Yep, they end up using the Orbital Ray. It'll just be Ice Gnome here, just get a touch, just force some players back, but that's the Orbital Ray used at the beginning of that fight.
Well, they do extend the fight further. No kills from Gen.G. They wish they got a little bit more out of that. Force a respawn or something. And while that's happening, Ice is on point, backcapping, forcing attention from Gen.G away from the chase and back on the point itself. And Ice wants Backbone. He's got Backbone. The prime target is Sim once again in his sights and taken down. Crispy to follow through for Kev. So this is going to be the flip. Gen.G once again, Matt, have a decent lead to a point, but they didn't close out that point on the first. This one they have to.
Well, this is what worries me, April, right? As you hold on to this Kitsune Rush, but now you're going to have like this sim wall kind of separating it. You're going to have the ability for Nano Blade to come through there for Kev. So this kind of like Kitsune Rush that you end up holding on to, a real situation that's going to be difficult to be able to win, is Backbone uses the proton barrier really early here. It's actually going to like force some members of VP back, but like that doesn't get them anything.
Oh, Kevster, he is doing work right now. He doesn't even need the blade. Doesn't even need the blade, man. Just doesn't pull it out.
No.
Gen.G finds nothing and VP get it all. There will be more fights to come through, maybe just the one, but time is of the essence now. We're heading over towards that 80, Backbone swapping off. He's moving over towards the Reaver. He's been punished way too many times, trying to make this sim work. And now without a photon barrier, it's going to come down to a neutral, but there's a lot of good ultimates on VP coming up.
Sky has had this Kitsune Rush 3 fights in a row. Exodial falls early. Now you end up using the Rush, but you're both hit. Sky and Tread hit with anti-heal. A bio there that comes in from Gala at the beginning of that fight. So you're not going to get much of anything with that Kitsune Rush. Crispy off on an off angle there, just flying through the air on the Juno. Not much of any help as VP gets a 3-1 win.
We saw some moments there of genuine, dare I even say it, brilliance from Gen.G. Not without the mistakes. It was scrappy on that Esperanza map 3. But all of that goodwill fades away when you just look at this Atlas map, and it's a 3-0, and it wasn't a particularly close 3-0. Yes, there were moments where for Gen.G, they held the lead. They actually started with the lead. I believe both the opening first point and that third point, they had the lead, right? They couldn't hold on to it. Once the flip came on through, it was all done and dusted, and Icestorm just walks away, does whatever he wants on this map. Zero punishment, zero pressure, no counters at all. Nothing to deal with Icestorm. And you're wondering, you mentioned this, Matt, how did he live so long? And he lived long enough that he only died one time this whole map, FYI. How does he live so long? Because nothing shuts him down. Nothing targets him, nothing shuts him down. Icestorm gets to play the freest game of his life, and that's a 3-0 cleanup on the final map for a 3-1 result.
Just quickly double checking if I muted myself everywhere, which I didn't. So hi, I'm back. And this
Welcome
series
back.
had competitive moments. Thank you so much, Matt. Appreciate you. No, this series had competitive moments, and that's honestly something you mentioned heading into this one, Matt, right? We're not expecting Gen.G to win it, but they need to look competitive. They did win a map, although that got a little scrappy at the very end there. Map 1, map 4, not competitive, but 2 and 3, I think, is where we should focus on if we're a Gen.G believer.
I mean, yes, they were more competitive, but I also think now we have these questions about just kind of the support line of Gen.G. Hey, it's our boy Cargo, DHL Daily Highlights,
What's good, Cargo?
It's clearly like Crispy can only, no, maybe not only, that's too strong, but they heavily want to lean into him playing Lucio at all costs.
That's going to
But
be
is that a result of none of those 4 support players being able to play Wuyang, or is that just the team not believing in the Wuyang? They're not the only team who's straying away from Wuyang.
He's unfortunately too good in this meta. Not to say that he's a requirement, like, oh, you don't play Wuyang, you lose. But guess what? If you get one of your key supports targeted, and there's no good alternatives here, Juno is not it. Juno is not going to do enough in this meta after all of her nerfs. How quick this meta moves. We're essentially in mostly a dive meta. I mean, what do we have? A Hazard into Doom matchup, and even when we move away from that, it's Zarya, it's still pretty quick. You're still looking at Traces, you're still looking at a bunch of dive-ish heroes, but point being, Juno is not going to bring enough to the table here. So that is a major point of soreness for the side of Gen.G. You got 4 supports, you got to clean this up. There's just no way, no excuse that no one on this team can give you a Wuyang in these moments.
It's tough. I mean, you got to be able to play, Wuyang. I mean, you have how many support players? You got like 4 on the roster, supposedly. Like, you have to be able to have somebody who can do that, or somebody working on it, and to have to use all of your fans essentially to just protect the support line. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's a commitment if I've ever seen one. Also interesting to see Gen.G leaning into the sim a little more heavy than other teams are. Granted, I guess against VP, that quote-unquote makes sense, since it was the Symmetra they struggled with and against.
Oh, Backbone, I think
stage 2, that is.
He's playing into his comfort zone. Actually, I think that was part of maybe the win condition here. I did talk about, like, what do we need to see in terms of heroes out from Gen.G, and they do need to start looking towards some of those comforts. Not to the point where, like, you get banned out and your option is Juno, but at least for Backbone, we know he's capable of playing Sim. It's just what I said at the beginning of the entire match, which is I don't know if Gen.G have had enough time together as a team, and Backbone is a player who's been out of the game for a couple stages. He played on SSG last year, but this is his first... This stage is his first professional outing for this entire 2025 year. So he's been personally out of the game, out of being on teams. And so there just needs to be a lot more gelling to make these sim comps look actually good. You want to look at good sim comps. Look what Alcacy and team can do with sim. And that's the benchmark. And, you needed a lot of time to be able to gel your team and work on that to make that work. So Backbone's hero pool is a bit of a concern as well, because Kevsa just showed what Tracer can do, and Backbone, he's not going to be able to do that.